Today's number 13 most urgent vulnerability on our top 60 ranked list is CVE 2026-48908 in SP Page Builder for Joomla. And even though number 1 may get the headline, this one absolutely earns attention. It is a 9.8 critical, it is on CISA's Known Exploited Vulnerabilities catalog, and it sits in the 0.9975 EPSS percentile. In plain English, this is not just a theoretical bug with a scary score. The official NVD description says, unauthenticated users can upload arbitrary files, ultimately resulting in upload and execution of PHP code. For a public-facing Joomla site, that is the difference between a content extension and a potential server-side code execution path. This is the Daily Ranked CVE Brief, what to patch first, ranked by Real Exploitation Signal, CISA KEV, First EPSS, and CVSS, every day. SP Page Builder is a Joomla page building extension, identified here under the vendor and product entry alyo/sp_page builder. The weakness is CVE-434, which is commonly described as unrestricted upload of a file with a dangerous type. That sounds dry, but the idea is simple. A web application lets a user send a file to the server, but does not sufficiently prevent dangerous files from being accepted, stored, or later treated as executable code. The NVD wording is unusually direct. Unauthenticated users can upload arbitrary files, ultimately resulting in PHP code upload and execution. PHP matters because Joomla runs in a PHP web environment. If a server accepts a PHP file where it should only accept safe media or controlled content, the impact can shift from someone uploaded a bad file to someone can run code on the site. We are staying defensive here. No payloads, no proof of concept, no exploitation walkthrough. Verdict. This score says treat it like an emergency internet-facing exposure, especially if SP Page Builder is reachable on a production Joomla site. The two CVSS details that matter most are reachability and required access. The vector is network exploitable, low complexity, no privileges required, and no user interaction required. Put plainly, an attacker does not need a valid account, and the victim does not need to click anything for the vulnerable condition to matter. The second major point is impact. CVSS rates confidentiality, integrity, and availability as high. That means the modeled outcome is not just a nuisance upload. Successful exploitation can affect what data is exposed, what content or code is changed, and whether the service remains trustworthy and available. We do not need to recite every metric to understand the priority. Remote, unauthenticated, low friction, and potentially full site impacting is exactly the kind of combination that moves a CVE up a daily ranked patch list. The real-world danger is the exploitation signal. CISA KEV is marked true for CVE 2026-48908, which means it is in the Known Exploited Vulnerabilities catalog. That status changes the conversation. A high CVSS score tells you what could happen under the scoring model. KEV tells you this vulnerability has crossed into known exploitation. EPSS adds another lens. This CVE is in the 0.9975 percentile, which places it extremely high compared with the broader vulnerability landscape for predicted exploitation likelihood. For defenders, those signals matter because patch queues are always crowded. A critical Joomla extension bug that enables unauthenticated arbitrary upload, leading to PHP execution, and is also KEV listed, should not sit behind low-signal vulnerabilities just because they share the word critical. If you run public Joomla sites, especially ones with many extensions, this is a fast inventory and remediate item. Conceptually, the attack path is straightforward, which is part of why this ranks high. A Joomla site exposes web application functionality to the internet. SP Page Builder adds page building features that, like many content tools, may include ways to handle uploaded assets or files. In this vulnerability, the dangerous condition is that an unauthenticated user can upload arbitrary files. If the application accepts a file type it should never accept from an unauthenticated party, and that file can later be interpreted as PHP, the server may execute attacker-controlled code. We are not going to name endpoints, payload formats, or commands. The defensive takeaway is enough. Any unauthenticated file handling surface on a public web app deserves strict validation, storage isolation, and execution controls. When those controls fail in a PHP-based CMS environment, the result can be a direct path from an external request to code running in the application's context. To check exposure, start with asset inventory, not assumptions. Find every Joomla site you operate: production, staging, marketing microsites, old campaign sites, and customer portals. Then confirm whether SP Page Builder is installed or enabled. The exact affected and fixed versions are not provided in the data for this brief, so do not rely on memory, a screenshot, or a package name alone. Check the Joomla extension inventory and compare your installed extension details against the vendor's official guidance and advisory references. Also check places that are easy to miss: cloned environments, older backups restored for testing, and sites maintained by third parties. If you run managed hosting, ask whether they can help inventory Joomla extensions across your account. If your site is internet-facing and uses SP Page Builder, treat it as potentially exposed until you have verified the version and applied the appropriate vendor-directed remediation. The first action is to follow the vendor's remediation guidance for SP Page Builder and update or otherwise remediate as directed. Because this is KEV listed and critical, it belongs in an accelerated change window for internet-facing Joomla sites. If SP Page Builder is not needed, remove it rather than leaving an unused extension installed. After patching, harden around the class of weakness. File uploads should be limited to expected types, checked on the server side, and stored in locations where server-side code execution is not permitted. Web server and application configuration should prevent uploaded content from being executed as PHP. Make sure permissions are no broader than necessary for the Joomla application to function. If you use a web application firewall, consider it a compensating layer, not the fix. Finally, verify the outcome. Confirm the extension version, confirm the site still works, and confirm upload handling is no longer behaving unexpectedly. For detection and monitoring, look for behavior that does not match normal page builder use. Normal should look like authenticated editors or administrators uploading expected content types during ordinary publishing activity. Suspicious looks like unauthenticated clients interacting with upload-related functionality, unusual file names or extensions appearing on the server, or a file upload followed shortly by a request that appears to execute server-side script content. Review web server access logs, application logs, file integrity monitoring, and hosting control panel activity if available. Search for newly created or recently modified PHP files in locations intended for uploaded assets or static content. Also look for unexpected changes to Joomla files, extension files, or site configuration after the suspected exposure window. If you find indicators that PHP content was uploaded or executed, treat the site as potentially compromised, preserve logs, rotate credentials, review administrative users, and consider restoring from a known good state after patching. Quick recap. CVE 2026-48908 affects SP Page Builder for Joomla. The weakness is CVE-434, arbitrary file upload, and the NVD description says unauthenticated users can upload arbitrary files, ultimately leading to PHP code upload and execution. The CVSS score is 9.8 critical. The key risk is remote unauthenticated reachability, and CISA KEV status means this is not just a paper issue. If you operate Joomla sites, inventory SP Page Builder now. Verify exact exposure with vendor guidance, apply remediation, and review logs for suspicious upload and PHP execution patterns. This is the Daily Ranked CVE Brief, what to patch first, ranked by real exploitation signal every day. Subscribe for the next ranked breakdown and check the full ranked report linked in the description.